Hello, everybody. It is your boy, Coach V-Viliami Tuivai here. Still with my setup from my coaching calls and my Zoom calls with my clients. And I wanted to jump on here real quick and just talk about two fundamental things that came that I know is relevant, valuable, and valid to life, leadership, business, and in relationships. That just came from the call so that it would stir your heart, mind, and soul. You can consider it and putting it to the forefront of your mind and actually living out some of these principles of these two, whichever one that you feel is the most applicable and maybe needed. That came out from my calls. Number one is just setting goals. So I have a client just took over a restaurant training within this new brand that's down in Southern California. There's only 3 of these restaurants that just opened down in SoCal. And he took over from the corporate side first, even though he's also a part minority owner. To really come in, he comes in and he casts vision. He sets up the leadership principles along with what corporate has already given, just to set some context. And then this is the first time this week that he's working with these restaurants and the franchisee owners of the restaurant. So he comes in and he does one thing. He said that just made a huge difference between last week and this week was that he set a goal for them. He looked at the numbers that were done the week prior, before he was even there, and he just said, what are the goals that you guys have for sales for the restaurant? The manager just mentioned that there were discussions in general about working hard, doing your best, excellence, service, speed of service, food quality, customer service, all of that, which is the basics that I've been dealing with as well in the various brands that I've been blessed to work with already, with Jack in the Box, Corner Bakery, Denny's, and now Popeyes, is with the ownership group and franchisee group that owns the restaurants that I'm currently success coaching. It was just interesting. He told them to set the goal for this. And because they set a goal, meaning a target, a standard to reach for and go for, and they hit it. They didn't have one prior to the prior week, and then even the previous couple of weeks that they opened up this brand new, during this whole COVID pandemic, they opened up a franchise down in Southern California, 3 restaurants, in fact. And then so they didn't have an actual sales standard or a standard for their output and productivity for the day. And then also he brought in for time periods, the breakfast, lunch, dinner periods. And not only did they hit it, they surpassed it. So I teach and train all the time on this concept of it is better to shoot too high and miss, still hitting great heights, versus shooting too low and hit. But then it brought to me that I need to just be setting goals and standards, which I allow the client to set their goal and set their standard. If I think it's too low, I'd push them a little bit because of that phrase. It is better to shoot too high and miss, still hitting great heights, versus shooting too low and hit. So I just thought that was remarkable. Just a very simple, basic, fundamental to life, leadership, and business, sports, and in relationships, to set a goal, set a time, and start working towards the achievement of the thing. So that's one. If you haven't been doing so, just start setting goals. Like for me, I got up, I was about 227, 226. And then I got up to 235 pounds. So then I set a goal to losing a couple pounds every single week, because I am enjoying this stay at home because I love to eat and hang out. But I need to restrict and or discipline to meet that standard, to meet the standard and or the goal, setting a goal. Okay, I'm gonna lose a couple pounds a week. I started running more last week, all that. And I'm able to do that. Now I'm back down to 231 pounds. I was 235 pounds when I set the goal last week. So I'm already ahead of schedule. But just the ability to, you, me, and we can't hit what we can't see. What it is that we don't target and put into, our line of sight and our target to hit, we're not going to hit. So along with this, it is better to shoot too high and miss, still hitting great heights, versus shooting too low and hit. is actually set something to hit, target something to hit. And when he told me this, it's just so fundamental, right? It's just set a goal and then do the basic fundamental things to go achieve it. And then once you achieve it and you start working on the consistency of that thing in terms of the restaurant business, the service business, then you work of the speed of the thing. And everything it is that I talk about to all the people that I work with in the fast food industry in over 8 markets is you focus on the consistency and being able to do the craft. I mean, the drive-through window, I go and watch some of the things it is. I think it's a miracle what they're able to do in some of these fast food restaurants and serve, with the service time and all that, with the making sure that the accuracy is correct in terms of the order. It's just remarkable. But there's a difference between effective and efficient in terms of hitting the bottom line and setting a goal, and then also rushing. Because when we rush and don't allow ourselves to master this process, then we can't move as fast. So to me, I've always talked about anything, which either it was in coaching football, coaching the kids it is that I am now in baseball as an assistant coach, or an assistant coach in soccer like I was, is, go fast, but don't rush, and master the skill. And you can only go faster with the more mastery that you have it. Because if not, when I rush in anything, what happens is, and I know we're talking about setting goals, but now we're talking about that whole process that came across from our conversation, me coaching him, and then him giving some more thoughts. And then I go, so what do you think about that? And we have this conversation back and forth. So in that is mastery. And the reason why I make so many mistakes is because I'm trying to freaking multitask. So my focus is split. I'm not centered and focused on something, so then I make all type of mistakes. The other thing is because when I'm rushed to finish something, instead of giving it my focus, mastering it, making sure it's correct, I make more mistakes, and more mistakes affects the bottom line. So the first thing that then came into some other discussions was just this aspect of setting a goal. Number 2 was communication in my second call. And really, as a human race, that's how we're able to collaborate with anyone other than ourselves, is this communication. And in every one of the studies it is that I've ever read, to all of the companies that I have studied, and then all of the companies it is that I work with, that I coach, and the one-on-one clients it is that I coach, I find that communication must be ongoing, never ending, unwavering in terms of 2 things. Now we're talking about communication. We talked about goals first. The second thing is now communication, and the communication is this: never ending, ongoing, unwavering, constant communication on these things. What is the standard and the goals? Kind of reaching into what the first aspect was. And this is my second client for the day, and she is just remarkable. She's a district manager, and she's knocking it out of the park in terms of what the goals are. Still today, they're still knocking it out. And as the stimulus checks hit and everybody's trying to go around and spend a little extra money and not be just cooking at home all the time, it's going to continue to grow in terms of her fast food franchise brand. But in terms of the communication, is setting the standards, being constant, never ending. In football, when I was a football coach, one of the players, after defeating a team by over 31 points, said, well, coach, I mean, you're talking to me and you're coaching me here as if, we lost the game. I mean, we blew them up by 31 points, but that doesn't mean that you can do something that's fundamentally wrong. Excellence is excellence. And when he asked me, I mean, when will it ever be enough? And in terms of communication that we're talking about, in terms of the second point, never. in terms of setting the goals and the standards and how it is that we live, what it is that we do, the expectation, making sure that we meet those expectations, how it is that we communicate to our customers and the people it is that we work with, that we appreciate them. Thank you for coming. Can I get you anything else? No, it is my pleasure. That communication and the respect and the reverence that is given into how you communicate with people, that is fundamental. So just bringing it up to you. That these are two things it is that came out of my conference calls today. I'm just juiced and I always have a lot of energy, but I thought I love speaking from stage. And I do. I love speaking to live audiences. I do what's called more so engagement speaking versus just being a speaker. I mean, I engage with the audience, and those people out there that have ever seen me, they know what I'm talking about. It's a different deal. And I'm not saying it's better or worse than anybody else, because we all stand on giants that have come before us. But this communication style now can be effective when you communicate constantly in the beginning of the week, in the middle of the week, at the end of the week. In the beginning of the week, so it's like some encouragement. This is what we hit last week. Here are the numbers. Setting goals, like I talked about with the first client, and then in the middle of the week, hey, can I help you with anything? How's it going? Because just to keep people moving along, feeling the synergy, the energy, gain momentum through communication, holding people accountable, being the person that gives answers as the leader, and that communication has been vital for these people. Absolutely amazing for how it is that they've been able to switch that over and now get results. In my first client that I had, the first call where all he did was just set a goal, 25% better this week in total, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for his 3 new restaurants than it was last week, right? During all that's going on right now, a brand new brand. And then for the ones it is that I'm currently coaching, that I've been coaching now since October, is like her district that she looks over 8 of these restaurants are just knocking it out of the park. No issues. And everything has changed. We no longer have to meet with her. She was just talking about communication and how now more effective and efficient this whole pandemic has made it, because now they don't have to have face-to-face meetings. Everything is just like this. It's like a Zoom call, or just watching, or just having a phone call, so that they can have more time in the restaurants with their people. The other thing in terms of communication is how to make sure that everything is sanitary, everything is clean within these restaurants, of communicating that, because that's what we are today. People want to feel safe that when they come in and order something, that it's safe. And the other thing is that's totally changed in the communication, that because we're talking about the subject of communication, is just the fact that now that, I mean, I'm a hugger, dabber, you know, give me some love. Even with guys, like, what's up? Polynesians, we greet all the time, right? We're like greeting, kissing on the cheek. And she said that in terms of that communication, it's just air hugs and hellos. But that has not been a negative effect. So those are 2 things it is that I got off of my coaching calls today, that I just was in the forefront of my mind and just pumping the juices in my heart, as you could tell, that I just wanted to share with everyone out there. Is 2 things. Set a goal. And it is better to shoot too high and miss, still hitting great heights, versus shooting too low and hit. And then in that setting the goal is that if you set it, then people have something to reach for. They have a target to make sure that they put in their scope and their eye in that target. And then their actions, their behaviors, and their habits start forming towards that goal. And he hit over 25%. Would that be valuable to you? Is that something valuable to you? Then make sure that you bring that to your teams, to yourself. I'm using it with my weight loss, making sure that I've gained some pounds at this stay-home orders. Now I'm adjusting that by setting a goal and dropping down every single week. And then also in communication. That's how we get things done. Ongoing, never-ending, unwavering communication of the standards, the expectations, and making sure to encourage all along the way. If you like this video, please help me out and smash that like button. Leave me some comments about what you thought of the video, any questions it is that you may have, and I will get to them as soon as I can. And also subscribe to my channel. You'll be seeing all kinds of videos from me, from in studio in Hollywood, to interviews like this, and I'm going to be having one-on-one with people. You'll see me on stage or speaking in front of people, or just getting off a call like I am right now and just giving you what's in my heart about what I just went through in my coaching. V-Viliami te folk tao pela Tuivai, they call me Coach V.